Well, I hope I saw a positive move from Jurgen Klopp where he went, some of you bigwigs are going to get a kick up the backside. I'm not putting up with it anymore. And he made 6 changes. Now, 1 or 2 were enforced, granted. But I hope the rest of them was just based on... Because why would you be resting players for a game when you need to win? Chelsea way, you don't rest players, do you? Pick your best team to try and get results.
Exactly.
So I've got a feeling he's gone, enough's enough. Here's the 6 changes. And if any of you got a problem with it, knock on my door. Because none of you can argue about being left out. Now, I don't know if he's done an interview saying it, he was rested or he was not. But my interpretation of what I saw last night was, I've had enough of crap performances and I'm going to put people in who are going to fight for the shirt, irrelevant of the level of performance, because it was a poor performance.
And you would say he's right to do that?
Damn right.
So when you say enough's enough, enough is enough of what?
Well,
because the argument's being made that Liverpool have lost their legs. So you can't barrack people for the situation that they can no longer do something, right? So are you suggesting that Liverpool players aren't doing what they could be doing?
Yes.
So then that's a choice.
Correct.
So then that's a choice of management that's allowing that. Yeah. And that's a choice of management that's responsible for this team rather than necessarily a group of players that have overreached and are no longer capable of doing it anymore. It's a manager not delivering an outcome from the players.
I think, I've said this all along, my feeling on a lot of the players, and the majority, there might be 1 or 2 who physically lost what they had, maybe. But I think it's more, I think it started from a place of complacency at the beginning of the season.
Really?
Bit. I think complacency.
We're there already. We've done it. We're there already.
Well, after such success last year and coming so close, playing 60-odd games, nearly winning the lot, you walk into next season thinking, here we go again. And I think complacency set in. Then, of course, what happens, you have some bad performances, criticism, and then the confidence drops. All of a sudden, the spotlight's on you. But too many Liverpool players at the beginning of the season, and for quite a long time before, seasons before, have been too comfortable with their position in the team and not having competition for places. And I think that always drops your level of... It catches you up.
How does that accord with a side that almost dominated the landscape of domestic football last year, that were in 4 competitions, 1-2, lost the Premier League by a point, lost the Champions League by a goal.
Yeah.
How does that square the circle of they've been too comfortable for too long?
What do you mean? You mean last season's
We're talking about these players that have been too comfortable in their positions for a sustained period of time.
Because
last year's performance was... at times,
because it lasts.
Remarkable.
Self-motivation, take yourself for the manager motivating you, the manager keeping you going, you keeping yourself going. Your first couple of seasons,
keeping yourself going.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it gets to a point where it does drop off unless you've got that competition.
Yeah.
So it seems to have all happened at the same time. But I think, especially this season, beginning of the season, after the success of last season, some of the players have just walked into the season with this complacency and a situation where...
So Klopp is ultimately culpable for this.
I mean, the feeling is...
Can he regain his poise? Because he's very clever. He's taken the heat out of a conversation by bringing the heat to the conversation by saying, look at me, the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Right? Because by the standards of everyone else, I should be getting the sack. So he's taken it away. He's taken the conversation away from the journalist and done the very clever thing of taking it out of the room. But bottom lining it, he now has to regain his poise. Otherwise, there will be a Premier League without Jurgen Klopp sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think this summer's huge for him. I'm 100% convinced he'll get the time to do it and he'll get the summer to reform the squad.
Are you 100% convinced that the fans want that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I'm looking at one. Here's a message we're not accustomed to reading, Simon. Big Kenneth. Let's take it that Kenneth is maybe 6 foot plus. I've been a Liverpool fan for 36 years. Klopp is and forever will be a hero and a legend to this club. But I think he should go in the summer. A new voice is required. We need fresh ideas and a new style.
No, I think he's in the minority. Well, he is in the minority, I know for a fact. The man deserves the opportunity to refresh the squad and get some funds and get some players out. What he's been guilty of probably is relying on the same core group for a long period. Fergie was the master at it. We've seen it before. Not every manager can get these, when you refresh a squad or team or reinvent a team, gets it right all the time, but he's got enough in the bank to get to the summer.
Yeah, but by your logic, Danny, certain players are no longer listening to Klopp. That's what you're saying. We've done it. We're there already. We've peaked.
I think there's some validity in that.
I think they're listening. They're not hearing.
Yeah,
and there's a difference between the two. I think if Klopp starts next season and gets to October with Liverpool in the same sort of position, he'll be gone.
Oh, there'll be no sentiment in another year.
I think he'll be gone because everything comes to an end. He's been there 7 years and 8 years in this October.
Yeah.
So he'll have been there for a significant period of time. He's done, the bulk of the time, certainly after years 2 and 3, he's done a remarkable job. He's produced a remarkable team.
Yes,
but these tail-offs, that come post Premier League winning seasons and post seasons where they've dominated football like last year.
This is the biggest one.
Well, they were quite big. They got into the Champions League spots with a goalkeeper scoring ahead of the
but
last game.
if you look at a mitigated circumstance around that, just quickly, you lost all the centre halves with not enough backup, and also you're playing in an empty Anfield, which doesn't.
There's another Liverpool fan getting in touch, no naming this one. How does Danny know that he's in the minority with this thought? Klopp's in unknown territory now for himself. He soon will be gone.
How do I know? Well,
actually, a lot of clubs look at Jurgen Klopp and they look at Liverpool and think, wish we were in that situation, because in Bruno, Klopp faced his 8th Chelsea manager since joining Liverpool 7.5 years ago last night. So, I mean, Chelsea's been a revolving door. Klopp's been the constant.
Yeah, and what have Chelsea won during that period?
Oh, true. I would accept that.
Yeah, they've
Plenty.
been successful.
So
Champions League, World Club Championship.
It's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? Because Liverpool's stinking the league out right now. So are Chelsea. They're both in the same place. One's got continuity, the other one hasn't.
You strive for it at Palace. The ideal scenario is someone in there for the long haul to give you the stability.
No. The ideal scenario is to have someone in that's effective most of the time. And if that means you've got to chop and change to get it, that's less than great, because you're paying people to keep going and people to keep coming. But we compare the two scenarios. We've got one with stability, one with it lack of continuity. One's probably won more than the other one. And they're both in the same position in the league right now.
Chelsea are more the exception than the rule. You're right, Jim. The feeling is stability and continuity is more likely to bring success. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Chelsea have broken that with their success. But if you look at teams over the years and success, where you look at Pep at City now, Jurgen at Liverpool, Wenger at Arsenal, Fergie at United, even Mourinho's 3 or 4 years at Chelsea when he had that. But generally, Chelsea they are the exception.
And Chelsea can't get it right. Look at what happens, Simon, when you do get it right. Brighton and De Zerbi said, "We'll show you how it's done." Villa at the moment, we'll show you how it's done.
Different expectations. Different dynamics. Brighton are an outlier.
They're above them in the league.
And that's fantastic. And these are moments in time, and they need to be appreciated and recognised for what they are, because they're remarkable achievements by those clubs.
But are they moments in time?
I think so.
Yes,
I think this season is a remarkable season. No one expected Liverpool and Chelsea to be where they are. So they opened up 2 spaces. Newcastle have landed in one of them. So there's an open door policy now for people getting inside the top 6, because 2 of the mainstays aren't there anymore, or potentially not there. So I think, look, you've got to take each club in isolation. We can look at these things in the rounds and say, look, of course people are maintaining stability. Of course people look at it, and we can bring Ferguson and we can bring Wenger into question. But those days have gone now. This is a completely different set of rules now that are running football. Different dynamics, different expectations from managers, and clubs are now running on different models.
Yeah. Chelsea are on a much longer journey than Liverpool. Liverpool,
I bet they're not.
I
tell you what. Last time Chelsea stunk the league out, they finished 10th, right? And that was the season that Leicester won the league. What happened the next year? Won the league.
You don't live in the past.
I bet you Chelsea will be back.
It's about what's going to happen next.
I bet you Chelsea will be in the mix next year. I bet you.
They might be in the mix.
I'll have another one of those bets that I like.
They might be in the mix for top.
Losing money on.
Liverpool need a few to come in, but Chelsea, you look at the squad, they've got no goals in them.
They're
going to have to go and find it.
Yeah, coming, haven't they?
Yeah, but Danny,
well, he's not really. Plays wide and
be honest with me, Danny. I mean, where the heck are we? The 5th of April. Could you honestly have told me Liverpool will be 8th at the moment?
Of course
Having
not.
lost 9 in 28
No,
played.
and nobody, I didn't hear anybody at the beginning of the season thinking they were going to fall off a cliff, because they have. And it's worrying. You can't hide behind it. I'm not sitting here for 1 second thinking, it's a quick fix, but if he gets backed, and he's got some kahunas to get rid of certain people in the squad and free up some of the wages.
Like who? Tell us.
We'll be here all day. I just think we have to go through each part of the team, and some players need to.
Well, give us some examples.
You want me to go through?
I do.
Well, I'd be looking one of the most important positions of the pitch, holding role. I think Fabinho's done.
Right.
He's been terrific, but I
Henderson?
think no, I'd keep Henderson.
Alexander-Arnold.
Milner's got to go. Fabinho's got to go. Keita will go. Ox will go. There's four midfielders.
They're easy ones, aren't they?
Fabinho's not. He's on a long contract and earning good money. He's not even 30.
He's the exception. The other ones are 104, aren't they, between them?
I think Matibu's been brilliant. I think not got the athleticism to play the way Klopp wants to play anymore. I think he gets some good money for him. Probably, I know some people might not like that. I think Konate's more the future with the physicality in the legs, and bring another centre-half in who's got those type of characteristics. And he's been great as well.
Robertson.
100% stay.
Hugely popular, isn't he?
Oh, my God.
110%.
Look, Robertson...
But Tsimikas isn't the understudy, is he?
Not good enough. Not good enough. No. Robertson doesn't worry me in the slightest, because even if he doesn't play that well, he's at it. He'll fight, he'll die for you. He'll go for a brick
wall. So would the
for you.
goalkeeper.
It might be time to think of a different trying to play Trent in a different position and getting a right back, because defensively, can he get back to where he was at? You know, you're not talking about getting rid of Trent, but you might be trying to reinvent him.
So it's major surgery.
Yeah, but you can. Liverpool don't need to find this silly amount of money to go and get loads of players. They need to get rid of a load to free up the wages, because then it's not a problem bringing players in when you're prepared to pay them a fortune.
Brighton and Villa are looking at Liverpool at the moment, and Chelsea.
Yeah, not for long.
What do you mean not for long?
Not for long.
They're in great positions to nail Europe.
They are, but you know what happens with the likes of Brighton and Villa? The players start surpassing expectation, as do the managers, and then they're gone. So they haven't.
Good point.
They'll always feed a
though, Danny, Liverpool have gone from being giants of Europe, etc. Klopp, my God, I'd die to play for him, to maybe not the first port of call now for some of the top players in Europe.
It could be a fair point. I think it's going to be much more difficult to entice certain players when you're not in the Champions League. I think that's fair. And there will be players, of course. If you've got an ounce of wisdom in you, or decent support network around you, and you're looking to move to one of the big clubs in Europe, you know, you're going to be thinking, is this temporary with Liverpool, or have they fallen?
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Bellingham. I still think Liverpool, because he's gone to Germany. I mean, Dortmund might have been playing in the Champions League, but they're not exactly a destination point for top players in terms of they're a pass through, right? Dortmund get players, pass through, right? Liverpool are a destination point, irrespective.
They are.
Even if they're not in the Champions League, they're 100%. Still a destination point.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule against Bellingham joining Liverpool.
You make some great points when you hear that brown jacket.
Do I?
I always think that when he's got the brown jacket on, it's coming, folks. And so are we. 11:15.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.